Hi everybody, welcome back to another trip report. Today we're flying to Milan Malpensa via Newark on United Airlines. We will be on a 787-10 from LAX to Newark, and then from Newark to Milano Malpensa we'll be on a Boeing 777-200ER. So we arrived at the airport at roughly, this is like 6:30 here for our 7:15 a.m. flight to EWR. So check-in, security, everything was really smooth, dropping off my bag. We got to the gate pretty much a couple minutes after going through security. Terminal 7 was actually quite dead today, surprisingly, because this is around the Christmas holiday. You could see down the concourse here that there are not very many people, which is surprising, especially even at this early, which is about 6:30 in the morning. So anyway, we started boarding. Today we were flying on a Boeing 787-10. The registration number of our plane was N17002. She is a 6-year-old Boeing 787-10 built in October of 2018. My seat was 31L, which is an economy plus window seat. Plenty of leg room, as you guys have seen in my previous videos. Nice touch by United. They gave us a blanket here, even though it was a morning 4.5-hour flight to Newark. Here's my window view. It was dimmed, adjustable headrest, standard power outlets underneath the seats, things that you guys have seen in my videos and other videos before. After I undimmed the window, you could then see the alleyway, the taxiway there between Terminal 7 and Terminal 8. After an on-time pushback and a pretty quick taxi, we then took off from runway 25 right here at LAX. After about 45 to an hour into the flight, we were then in southwestern Utah, kind of just a little bit east of St. George. And then United came around with their beverage service, the first of two beverage services. And they also gave us a snack. I got the pretzels, I got a cup of coffee, and then I got a glass of water. After about an hour and a half to 2 hours into the flight, we were then over Colorado. I'm pretty sure this was over the Rocky Mountains, and I just tried to get as good of a view as I could. The sun was kind of bright, considering I was sitting on the right side of the plane. So while we were cruising over southern Michigan, kind of just north of Ohio, United came around with another beverage service. As you can see at the dim eye window, the sun was so strong there. I opted for a Coke Zero, and I can't remember if they came around with a snack or not. I'm pretty sure that they actually did not, but it was still a nice touch to get another beverage service. So pretty soon after the beverage service, we started our descent, and then we landed on runway 4 right here at Newark Liberty International Airport. So after deplaning, I just then wanted to get a nice view of our 787-10, and then eventually we started making our way over to the lounge area. So the lounge that we used today was near gate C123. This concourse has been really refurbished. It's actually very nice. So after entering into the lounge, one of the first things that struck me was the very nice big windows, which gave me an excellent view of the tarmac and the spacing between the gates here. Some 777s there, some 767s. And then also what struck me was that this lounge is actually really, really big. It's huge. They have a couple food areas, multiple beverage areas. So overall it was really large. Here you can see this United Boeing 777-200ER. I'm pretty sure she was going to San Francisco. I can't remember exactly. But then I decided to explore the hot food area. They had rice, they had chicken, they had potatoes, they had a pasta, they had a lot of Indian style foods here. They had cheese, they had various soups, and then they had this very cool sandwich bar over here where you could just kind of choose from 3 or 4 different sandwiches / wraps. And the sandwiches were actually really good. I thought that the bread quality was quite good. So I thought this was a nice touch compared to some of the traditional lounge food that we see nowadays. They also had a coffee bar, which was really cool. And then here was the beverage station where they had every kind of beverage that you can want, basically. Although you had to get beer and wine at a bar over there. So I tried one of the wraps, which was I think a buffalo chicken one, and then one of the sandwiches was salami, which was good. And then I got this chicken, which was excellent, as well as these potatoes. Very good flavor, kind of spicy, but very, very good. We were then hit with the bad news that actually our flight was delayed by 6 hours. So luckily we were already in the lounge and we could hang out for a while, but originally going from about an hour and a half to 2 hour connection to a 6 hour connection was kind of rough. Now, United said that, so originally when we were in the lounge, they were telling us, well, it's because the plane that we had had a mechanical issue, so it needed to be repaired. But as it turns out later, it was because our plane was actually put onto the flight to Dubai because that plane had a mechanical issue. So then we had to wait. So that previous 777 that you just saw with Star Alliance livery, that went to Paris Charles de Gaulle. And then here was our 777 arriving from San Francisco. So basically our 200ER here, we had to wait for it to fly from SFO to EWR. It then landed. It landed on time, no problems with that. And then they turned it in about an hour, which was, in my opinion, pretty impressive, considering that they had to, deplane everybody, take off the bags, cargo, everything, re-cater it, all that kind of stuff. So, our flight was originally around 5 something. It wasn't until around 11 p.m. that we left. United did provide us with ample compensation, including food vouchers, as well as they gave us some future flight credit. So eventually we started boarding, and today I had a bulkhead seat, which had great leg room. They gave the foldable pillows and the blankets. You've heard me say this before. I'm a fan of the foldable pillows, the tray tables and the armrest, as well as the IFE screen. So just kind of, your standard economy plus seat with United has standardized their fleets now quite well. And then eventually we taxied out to runway 4 left to make our way over to Milano. So after takeoff, I actually went to sleep, so I apologize for not showing you guys what the meal was. But anyway, after about 6 hours of sleep, I woke up and then we were over France. And United then eventually came around with their breakfast service. So today they had a kind of like this, almost like a McDonald's egg McMuffin, as well as a cup of coffee, and I got some water. Actually, it was quite good. I really liked it. I kind of like these kind of breakfasts, so I'm a little bit partial to them. But and then eventually, after this breakfast service, we then started descending over the Alps and down into Milano. So it was this point in the flight that kind of the whole story got explained, like I mentioned earlier. So the pilot came on and he said that our plane got moved from our flight to the flight to Dubai. And that's because the original 777 that was going to Dubai had a mechanical issue, so they made the executive decision to basically, they had to impact somebody's flight, so they impacted our flight. And then, like I mentioned earlier, we had to wait for our plane to come from SFO. Anyway, it all worked out in the end. Enjoy these beautiful shots over the Alps, and then eventually we descended into Milano. Alrighty, so here we were on our descent. Just a couple things that I wanted to mention as well. So today, the registration number of our plane, we were on N78009, a 25-year-old April 1999 build 777-200ER. She was originally delivered to Continental back in 1999. So our flight time was about 7.5 hours, pretty standard for Newark/East Coast to Milan Malpensa. And then we landed on runway 35 left here at MXP. So anyway, everything worked out after the delay. I appreciate you guys watching my video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know things that you'd like to see in the future. And as always, I have many trip awards coming for you guys in the future. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching.